Hello and welcome everyone to this live demo session on SAP ABAP on HANA S4 HANA technical training with me Anubhav. In this demo session, we will look at the core capabilities of ABAP on HANA, and we are going to talk about how an ABAP on HANA or S4 HANA development is carried out in the new world of HANA based solutions. This training is designed for different consultants who are working in industry and want to ramp themselves up on the latest technologies and latest tools. So let's get started with the demo session. So let's look at the agenda for this demo session today. We will start with introduction of who is this training for. Then we'll look at overview of our training. We will then look at the use case which we are going to take for this demo. We will do this demo in a live system. And finally, we will talk about some of the frequently asked questions by you in the past. So let's get started with who is this course for? So is this course relevant for me, or how does it fit and helps me in my job on regular basis? So this course is designed for any ABAP consultant who is currently working in industry and you would like to embrace the change which has happened in the underlying technology, so-called your three-tier architecture, and you want to make your existing custom code run much better and also on HANA. It is also designed for BW consultants who would like to learn how to build CDS views, how to create analytics on top of CDS views, and expose your data of intelligent suite to OLAP tools, example Analytics Cloud. Also, any Scrum lead who is leading a team of ABAP on HANA developers would like to understand the depth of the technology so that you can estimate better for tomorrow. Or in general, any SAP consultant who would like to build Fiori applications end to end on top of CDS views and exploit the full potential of SAP HANA and its computational power. So that is what all in all this course is for. Now let's understand what is that you're gonna look forward in next 40 hours of this training. So we will learn everything from scratch, from the beginning till the end. You will learn the new ABAP syntax and tools like ABAP development tool on Eclipse, which is the standard tool going forward, whether you're doing a ABAP CDS development or RESTful ABAP programming development or S4 HANA development, or for that matter, ABAP on cloud. This is the tool which we will use forward in the future, and I will show you how to set up this tool in your system and connect to your existing SAP ABAP and ECC system. Then you will learn new ABAP syntax and features with NetWeaver 7.5. You will learn the frameworks like BOPF, integrated data access with ALV, and fuzzy search. Overall, you will learn also the architecture of SAP HANA database, how it works and how the HANA influence your programming on ABAP side. We'll start also the basics of SAP HANA and its architecture in this training. So in prior, you never had an experience on HANA. It doesn't matter because we're going to cover introduction of SAP HANA and also HANA related techniques like modeling and SQL scripting as part of the training. We will learn the latest and greatest tools like Business Application Studio, ABAP development tools, Web IDE, and HANA Studio. In the phase 3 of this training, we will talk about S4 HANA code conversion and also virtual data modeling with CDS. So you will learn how to fully leverage the power of SAP S4 HANA using CDS views and virtual data models provided by SAP in S4, and how do you migrate your custom ABAP code to SAP S4 HANA. Then we will learn complete CDS view along with ABAP managed data procedures along with SQL script with OData and Fiori app development on S4. So you will see how to leverage the Fiori development programming paradigm for S4 HANA and how to build fully optimized Fiori application using CDS based OData and annotation concepts. Now let's look at our today's scenario. So our today's use case, last time when we met in our demo, The whole world was crippled by coronavirus, COVID-19, and now with 2021, we have a hope of ray in form of vaccine. So here is our next use case for this demo. I'm happy to announce that now we have multiple vaccines available to curb the COVID situation. So here we have to build an S4 HANA embedded analytics application using the vaccination data, which is stored in my S4 HANA system. And this data is stored for all countries and different vaccines. So I have a custom table in my S4 system. I would like to showcase you how do we leverage this custom table and build an S4 HANA use case or S4 HANA analytics, which is built in inside the system. So we will start this by building a CDS view. So let's look at the flow, how we are going to do this development end to end. So very first thing this in the step is I'm going to launch our development tool, so-called ABAP development tool on Eclipse or ADT. Then we will start with CDS. CDS stands for Core Data and Services. That's the new way of developing applications in S4 HANA world. So we will learn how to build our first VDM CDS view as of type cube on top of our database table. We will see including a couple of annotations. And one special thing is we will learn about CDS entities in this training as compared to CDS views, because CDS entity is a relatively new concept as compared to CDS views. CDS views are slowly going to get deprecated. So we will be doing this whole training on CDS entities. So you'll understand that more in detail. And then we have annotation concept. So we will enrich our CDS using annotation. So we'll add a couple of annotations, and then we will also see how to expose this data as a OData service to our Fiori application. So that will be part of our next step, where we will expose the OData service out of CDS layer, and then we will register this to be able to consume it in one of the S4 HANA embedded analytics pillar. So we'll use then an built-in embedded analytics app in S4 to actually demonstrate this to the end user, a final dashboard. So how does your final outcome would look like? The final outcome would look like where you will have multiple different drill down reports. So first one is going to show the total number of fully vaccinated people per country. So on the axis side, you see here countries, and then measure is going to be total number of vaccinated count. Then we see a beautiful table right next to it, where we see the total number, actual number of people who are vaccinated, total vaccinations per country in form of a report table. Then in phase 3, we will see how do you slice and dice the data to showcase the impact of different vaccines like Covaxin, Moderna, Pfizer, Oxford vaccine, biotech vaccine, Sputnik, the Russia's Sputnik, and India's Covishield. So we will see that over here in the drill down report. And finally, we will see per country wise how the vaccination is progressing in form of a line chart. That's going to be interesting use case and a lot of information. Please, one important thing to note, it's a demo session. So some of the things which I will showcase you here is purely for demo purpose. Perhaps you may not be able to get a clear idea in our very first session of what we will do, because it's a demo. Every time when I go to that class, from the next class onwards, you're going to see things very much in sequential manner. So you will definitely be able to understand the depth of the topics. But as for the demo, it is interesting to see how do we typically do an S4 development from scratch. So that's what I will be starting it with. And maybe from the next class, I will start with very basics like what's HANA. All right. So this demo can be little tricky for you to understand, but that's still be okay, I guess. At least you get used to how things are or things gonna be in S4. So that is what you will be taking away from this demo session. So without wasting further time, let me switch over to the system. So as we begin with the development, you can see I have already connected to my S4 HANA system through an ABAP development tool on Eclipse. Now, many people think that Eclipse is used predominantly for Java-based development. That's not correct. Eclipse is a development tool, And you can use this development tool for almost all different sorts of development, including ABAP development. And the user interface for Eclipse for developer is very much same like SEAT. So if you're already familiar with SEAT, your ABAP Workbench development tool, then you see on the left hand side here we have all the development artifacts. And once you click on a particular artifact, then you're going to see on the right hand side all the place where you can write the code. Now all the options which you have on SAP GUI, a very similar set of options are also available here. For example, you can execute programs, you can debug, you can activate, you can create a new program, you can add different kinds of artifacts, and fully supports compatibly ABAP development as well. So now what I will start here is I will create a new data model. Data model is nothing but your CDS view, the core data and services, and we will just expose the data out from our system through this CDS views. So I'm going to use CDS entity, which is relatively a new concept. We are also going to talk about the difference between CDS views and CDS entity. So let me begin with a CDS view. So I will right click here on my core data and services and create a new data definition. And here I'm going to follow certain naming convention as like begin with my company namespace. So ZATS, ITS stands for Anubhav Trainings. And I'm going to create an interface CDS view on top of my vaccine data. So I call it as vaccine. So Covaxin CDS view. Now, what is so special about this data model? It's going to be of type cube. What is a cube data type view? So a cube type view in S4 HANA is a view which kindly exposes the data out in an aggregated form. Aggregated form means, for example, if you have different sales orders, and for these sales orders you have like different sales order number like 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 and 60, and then you have amount like 500, 600, 300, 200, like this. So if I want to know what is my total sales, so you can just create an aggregate on this column by calling it as a sum. So I say hashtag sum, and then system is going to calculate a sum. So this kind of a result is going to be type a cube. Cube is means I'm aggregating the data. Similarly, what you used to do in the past in ABAP using select query, select sum of gross amount from VBAC table. Yeah. So in the same way, we are building now a data model, which is going to cube the data. So let's click on next. I will not choose any transport request because I'm creating in a local object. And now I will choose a view entity here. So let me create a new view entity. So that's basically a CDS, coded and service view, which we are creating, which is going to expose our data. So automatically system has generated a couple of statements here. What are all these? These are called annotations. So annotations has a very special meaning in the CDS layer. So basically these annotations will decide how the underlying runtime object will be generated. So like for example, you have enhancement category annotation. So in the past in SE11, when you create a table, you use enhancement category, right? So it's a very similar thing is now in form of an annotation, which is presented here. Then we have authorization check. So somebody, when they read the data from this data model, should they be prompted for any authority check or not? So that's something which is currently marked as check. Then there is a description and also the information about usage of this view. So this is mainly for performance guidelines of CDS, where we say what kind or quality of the data is this kind of, and based on that HANA is going to generate the corresponding view in the underlying database. We will discuss more about annotations in our unit number 12, 13, and 14. So you'll get to know more of these annotations in detail. Now I will start exposing data from my database table. So I have to put that as a data source. So let me put my database table, and you get a nice code completion by putting control space, and it shows me list of all the tables which I have in the system. So now I will use ZATS vaccine. This is the table where I've already stored the vaccine data, and I'm going to insert all the columns from that table. So let me just remove some of the columns, and I will keep few columns out here. And now I'm going to add additional annotations to basically tell the system to, when you read the data from HANA database, kindly total these values. So for that, we use an annotation called aggregation, and we mark it as of type sum. So let's add that for all the numeric fields, numbers basically. So let's add that all over there. And yes, you can also add labels. For example, end user text dot label, and I'll say vaccine name. And maybe for this one country, I will say country name. And then I will say date, or let me put it as Anubhav as a date. Okay, so I'm putting it, I'll show you the meaning of this annotation, how it impacts your report. Yeah, so let's save that up. And additionally, I will also have to mark this view as a cube. So we'll go ahead and put an annotation called analytics, data category as cube, and I will save this. So what happens when you activate? So the moment you activate a entity, that's going to create a view, a database view inside of HANA. So this way, what is happening is all the calculations for totaling the values and everything is going to be carried out inside of HANA database, which is an in-memory database, which can do this computation much faster. And I will activate this. So you can see now it's active. You can quickly go ahead and test this view by pressing F8, or you can also just do a data preview run right here by clicking on this execute button. So let me press F8, and there you go. You can see this is my vaccine data coming out for all the countries on the vaccine date, total vaccinated people, total people who are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, and also the raw vaccination numbers along with the vaccine which is being given to the people in that particular country. So that's my demo data. Next, what I'm going to do is I will create an analytic query on top of it, which is what I'm going to consume on my S4 HANA embedded analytics. So again, this may be a little dicey and tricky for you to understand all this, but I am sure once you start training step by step with basics, you will be able to do this kind of applications by yourself throughout the training. Okay, so initially it may look a little tricky, but don't worry, we're going to go very slow and step by step. Today's session is just a demo for you to get used to it, that how the new world looks like as an ABAP or BW developer, but over a period you're going to write and do this kind of application yourself. Let's create a next one. It's going to be a consumption view which I'm going to create. So a ZADSC consumption view, I'll name it as vaccine consumption view. I'll say finish, and that's my next entity. So what I'll do is I will just use this view which we created here, this entity over here as a source, and then on top we're going to add all the annotations, all the fields from the base. So let's press save. Now I can activate this, but before that I just have to also mark this as an analytic query. Yeah. Now let me show you first, not marking it as an analytic query, what impact does it have. So I will activate this now. So you can see my analytic query is active. So the next section, what I will show you is I will go to the SAP Fiori Launchpad, where SAP have provided me an application called Query Browser, where you can analyze the data coming out of CDS directly as a dashboard. So now I'm here at my SAP Fiori Launchpad. I will show you how did I get this in our class number 11, where I'll show you the Launchpad for the first time and explain you more details about the Launchpad, how it looks like in S4 HANA. So for now, I will just go to this app, which is a application provided by SAP directly. It's a standard application, and this application kind of expose all the analytic query in form of a nice report. So what I will do is I will go back and try to use this name of my view over here as a search, but you see perhaps it's not going to be available. The reason for that being is currently we did not enable this for an analytic consumption on S4 HANA embedded analytics. So as a next step now, what I'll do is I will uncomment and reactivate this, so that at least you also get to know the power of using annotations actually. So this is what is going to show you the capability what SAP has by putting these annotations. So now I'm going to switch over back to my this application, and I will do a search. And there you go. You can see I have found my analytic query here. And now what I can do next is I can click on it to open it for analysis. So the moment I click on it, its system is going to open that according to the design what we have done into an analyzer. So let me click, and now you can see system opens up this analytic query here in a beautiful query browser. So what we can now do is we can see all the measures which we have the numbers in our model. And also you can notice here first time this Anubhav. So basically this is the annotation which we have assigned in our CDS. So if I go back to my CDS, you will see that we have assigned this annotation here as Anubhav for the vaccination date. And if I change the same, then you can see also this will perhaps change here as well. So that's the power of annotation. More of these you will see it in our chapter 17, 18 and 19. But now just for demo I have taken a very simple use case. So let me just first go back to the PPT and show you this. So first we want to see a pie chart just showing the distribution of total vaccination per countries. So I'm going to just right click and remove everything except the total vaccination. So I will say keep the fully vaccinated number, but rest all I will remove from my measure. And so I have my measure fully vaccinated, and I'm going to just drag and drop this country out there. Wow. So it shows me a table, and here I'll switch to a chart, and there you go. It shows me a chart, and now I will analyze this chart as a pie chart. So let me go and change it as a pie chart and say, okay. So you can see now here is where we see the total number of fully vaccinated people per country is US leading the show actually here in this case, and followed by UK and Israel. So that's the analytics which we have got. So that was our first output. The second is going to be a table. So you can just switch over to a table, and now you can see here the table where you can also do the sorting. So it's fully supporting the sorting and slicing and dicing of data. You can see both the table and the chart together, and you can also have these nice little functions to export data to an Excel, change the query access, swap the access. All these features are built in available in the system. Anybody, even a functional user, can analyze this data right away on your model once you build it. The third one is I wanted to show the total vaccination impression. So which vaccine is doing the best in the market right now? So let's drag the vaccine name now, and I'm going to switch over back to my chart, and I will now want to switch this chart type to a bar chart. So let's make it as a column chart, and I say okay. So you can see this is a stack column. Maybe I will go back and change it as a normal bar chart. And now you can see the vaccine, which is Moderna Pfizer Biotech, is dominating the current market, followed by Oxford Pfizer Biotech and Pfizer BioNTech Sephora. And then we have Sputnik. So you can see this is how the current distribution of different vaccine players are spanning out in the market. Maybe you can also expand and say total vaccination count I wanted to include. So add that to display and maybe skip this one from it. And now you can see the total vaccination per vaccine company. The next one is going to be showing a chart of progress of how the vaccination is progressing. So I'm going to take it away, drag Anubhav. Remember that's a date one, and I'm going to add that to my measures. And you can see day wise distribution, but I will change this to maybe a line chart. So let's make it as a line chart, and now you see the total vaccination progress on daily basis. Maybe I wanted to see this only for India, so I can enable my filter bar where I can go and add a country filter. So let's do that, and now I will just type country as India. So you can do an F4 to see all the values. This is all auto-generated by system based on our data model. And once I choose and hit the go button, you can see how the vaccination is progressing within India, day by day progress for the total vaccine count. So that was more about a quick demo on how did we build a data model and how do we enable it for our end user consumption for a simple dashboard report which user can analyze using S4 HANA Embedded Analytics. Of course, there is a lot to learn to reach it even to this level. Maybe some of you were totally confused with this demo, some of you would have understood partially, and some of you would have understood fully, but that's not the important part. The important aspect is to look at what kind of new features and capabilities you will have, which is waiting for you to learn here and grab these skills which will help you ahead of your competition. Now let's move on to some of the frequently asked questions. Do I need to have prior knowledge on HANA? No. We will cover HANA Foundation as part of this training, so you don't need to have any prior experience or knowledge on HANA. How much is the ABAP knowledge required to learn this training or ABAP on HANA? So only you need to have basic ABAP knowledge. If you're from BW background, you have basic knowledge on data dictionary, internal table, basic syntax, function modules. That's more than sufficient to learn ABAP on HANA. And that too only required for first 30%. Rest all the topics are even new for ABAP developers like CDS, AMDP, SQL Scripting, table functions, Fiori, OData. So many of these things are even new for ABAP developers. Now, I'm a BW and BI consultant. Can I learn ABAP on HANA? Yes, and you must, because with S4 HANA Embedded Analytics, CDS view is going to dominate the market, and it's very, very important skill which you should have it on your resume. How do we how much deep knowledge on oops abap is required? So only basic oops, if you are comfortable, like what is a class, what is an interface, what is an object, that's more than sufficient. We are not going to use too much of oops programming, but yeah, basic knowledge helps. Now what about server access? So guys, we can arrange a server if you don't have in your company. I would strongly recommend to use your company server, but in case you don't have one, we can help you to extend your experience uh, at all everything at single source, which is Anubhav trainings. So training material, source, server, details, data, everything we will be able to help you out end to end. So don't have to worry about server right now. So I will have a special chapter, in fact chapter number 2, which is day after tomorrow, where I will discuss you about server detail specifically for 1 hour, where you will understand the different options for server. Which of the version of HANA and S4 HANA we're going to use? So I'm going to use 2020 version. Okay, it's written wrong here in the slide. I have to correct it. So it's 2021 latest version of SAP S4 HANA with SAP NetWeaver 753 support pack 2 is what we will be using. And for HANA, we will be using HANA 2.0. And that's the latest version. So how much of this course we'll spend on CDS concept? So I know majority of you are joining this training because you want to learn CDS. So almost 40 to 50% of this course talks about CDS concept and building dashboards and screens and Fiori UI elements with the Fiori elements concept using annotation on CDS. Do I need to have prior knowledge on OData service experience? No, you don't need to. I will cover a complimentary session on OData service as well. So even you don't have idea on OData, it's also totally fine. Can I also take this course in video mode if the timing doesn't suit me? Yes. If timing doesn't suit you or you wanted to go fast pace, fast track, go with video mode of this training, which is also available. The latest 2021 videos are available, which are pre-recorded for you. You can go through those videos. What tools do we need to practice? So we would predominantly working on ADT. I will show you how to set up ADT tool in our next class. Also, we will use Business Application Studio on cloud and WebIDE for Fiori development on S4. That is what also I will make you aware once the time comes on the right chapter. So I hope you can you enjoyed this demo session. And for joining this training, just you have to drop an email on contact@anubhavtrainings.com. With that, Anubhav signing out, and I will see you in the next class. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day and goodbye.